Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Robinson and this is my senior collection. So for this collection, I did a lot of research on past decades of fashion and just time periods of fashion in general. After going through my research, I decided to reimagine my personal favorite decades, the 1940s and the 1950s. Based on these decades, I came up with the design concept of modernized old Hollywood, focusing on red carpet fashion. I've always loved the immense drama and elegance you see on a red carpet, so I wanted to make sure that my collection was going to reflect that. Once I had this concept for my collection, I did some research to see what was trending on the runways for the spring and the summer. I noticed a lot of romantic pieces walking the virtual runways. Transparency was also something that caught my eye in a lot of collections, so I wanted to make sure that I incorporated that into my own collection. We always see a lot of drama and over-the-top style on the runways, but something that I really appreciated was a lot of femininity and softness in the fabrication and the silhouettes. I knew that I had to incorporate that into my own collection, as you will see in just 1 second. This is my cover page, which is actually a watercolor that I designed and hand painted and then modified in Photoshop to match the mood of my collection. Forward, we have my designer statement, which talks about my inspiration for the collection, but also my inspiration and how I was able to get into fashion design. This next page is my inspiration board. For this, I really wanted to get the mood across of vintage Hollywood. Bright lights, movie stars, awards, paparazzi, the kind of glitz and glam and dreamland that we think of when we think of vintage Hollywood. For my fabric swatches and color story, I really wanted everything to look really rich and luxurious. To get the transparency I wanted, which I mentioned in the intro, I ended up using crystal organza, which had the effect of being both incredibly light but also having a really rich tone of darkness that I wanted. The lace was also another element of transparency. Lace always, I think, has that really vintage feel, but the sequins, I thought, elevated it and made it really modern as well. This first page of fashion illustrations is completely conceptual. I have a lot of soft, flowy silhouettes, but with some lines and structured pieces incorporated. I wanted to make sure that all my designs really embodied the 40s and the 50s, which I felt was achieved by the femininity and softness, but also hardness that you can see in the fashion illustrations. On the second page, we have more designs that match with the first page of fashion illustrations. More of the flowiness, the transparency that I really wanted my collection to have. But the last two designs on this page are the ones I chose to bring fully to life, which we'll see as we flip through to the tech flat pages. Here on the tech flat pages, we really dive into the pieces more fully. For this black look, from inner garment to outer garment, there's the bodysuit, the organza dress, and the satin overskirt. I really wanted to incorporate an overskirt into this collection, and I saw a lot of them in my research into the 1950s, but I figured that if I did want to have it in the collection, I needed a way to modernize and make the whole ensemble kind of edgy, which is why we have the completely see-through organza dress underneath the overskirt with the bodysuit for modesty. Here on this one, you see the second lace gown. Even before I knew what to design, I had the fabric for this look. And I knew I didn't want to break the lace pattern into a bunch of different pattern pieces. So for this look, I knew I could rely on the silhouette and the fabric itself to really speak for me. We have the slightly high collar and the drop shoulder, which is really indicative of the 1940s, but the slit in the front really brings it into the 21st century. On this page, we have the tech pack I developed for the lace gown, which shows my point of measurements, as well as the grading for the different sizes. The first construction page is dedicated to the black dress. I have some pictures of my draping and drafting process, pictures of my mock-up, and 2 pictures of the final garment. As you can see from mock-up to final garment, this garment changed quite a bit. Instead of draping the bodice of the organza dress, it became pin tucks, which added some much needed structure, but still kept the whole silhouette of this dress quite soft and feminine. The bottom of the organza dress was widened to really emphasize the mermaid style of the skirt. And as you can see in the upper right corner, I just have some fit notes about what adjustments had to be made from mock-up to final garment. The second construction page has some images of my model in the mock-up in red and the stages of the final garment. I didn't get pictures of my pattern drafting process, but it was quite simple. We just have the princess seams and then the high neck collar. For my adjustments from mock-up to final garment, I did bring the collar forward, which you can read in my fit notes in the upper right corner. And then the waist was also brought up by 1 inch so that it would sit at my model's natural waist. This garment didn't change too much, just small adjustments, which again are in my fit notes. Here you can see my final garment photos. This is the black ensemble with all 3 pieces that I worked on: the bodysuit, the organza dress, and the satin overskirt. I wanted there to be a lot of drama in this, and I think that I successfully achieved the effect I was going for. As we leave the black dress and go into the white dress, you can see the juxtaposition between them, but also the similarities and the softness that I wanted for all of my pieces, along with the femininity. For the white dress, I really wanted it to have a simple elegance, and I also wanted it to feel like it could possibly have walked straight out of the 1940s, which I personally feel like I achieved. And finally, on these last few pages are some additional work that I've done for classes. On this first page is a summer collection I designed for digital tools. These prints are something that I personally did with shapes and really different kind of techniques in Adobe Illustrator. On this page is the ensemble I designed for Specialized Apparel. We collaborated with Keisha Graves to make a fully accessible look. So in the spirit of that, the top completely opens down the front, the back, and the shoulders, and then the skirt completely opens in the front just for that accessibility. And on this last page is just a design I did while I was working on personal projects.